a case study of expatriate English teachers in China and Vietnam. So this journey has been the result of extensive research, countless hours of analysis, and a deep exploration of the issues of cultural differences in teaching English. So this work seeks to address the challenges that most of the teachers confront while teaching out of their homelands, which is not only relevant to teaching a foreign language, but also critical in understanding cultural obstacles that may arise beyond this noble profession. In the course of my research, I have engaged with a variety of methodologies and frameworks, allowing me to build a comprehensive perspective on the issues of cultural differences in teaching English in other countries. And here I'm talking about Vietnam and China because I have 2 years experience in these countries. So today I will walk you through my findings and discuss the implications and come to the main challenges of the teaching English abroad. I invite you to join me on this intellectual journey as we delve into the details of my research, and I look forward to your insights and questions at the end of my presentation. Thank you so much, and let's begin. So at the beginning, I would like to make like an overview, general overview about my thesis. Cultural differences issues, as you know, in teaching English as a foreign language are posed a big challenge to foreign teachers that used to teach outside their homelands, particularly in cases where a student's home is different from his or her school culture. It can make studying class materials even harder for them by forcing them to overcome obstacles that could or otherwise make learning information a little bit impossible. As you know, there are several difficulties in teaching English to speakers of other languages, especially when it comes to cultural diversity. So this paper is going to examine these kind of challenges from uh, different perspective of foreign instructors working in China and Vietnam. In addition, it examines how cultural differences affect students' involvement, lesson design, and classroom dynamic using questionnaires and interviews that provide clear examples of those challenges. So the study method focuses mainly on specific areas where cultures come together, such as the relationship between the teacher and students, communication pattern, and the learning style, which are really different from one part to another. So the result is going to offer an insightful information on how to get over cultural differences and create a more welcoming and effective English learning environments in China and Vietnam. So the major objectives of my research paper is to make like an investigation about three different blueprints. These blueprints I'm going to answer or I'm going to explain to you about these blueprints later. So the first one is like identifying the cultural obstacles that the expatriate English teachers face in Chinese and Vietnamese schools. The second one is exploring how cultural variation affect teaching methods and students' learning results. And the third one is understand how expatriate English teachers overcome these cultural barriers and create an effective learning setting, of course, depending on my experience and other teachers' experience in China and Vietnam. So the topic actually was not chosen randomly. It was a personal feedback, like I said before, about my own experience in teaching English as a second language in Vietnam for 2 years and currently as a university teacher in China. It's like an attempt to express the challenges that a teacher may face while teaching out of his homeland. Beside, putting China and Vietnam in one pot goes beyond the cultural background that they share together, the increased demand for English teachers, and the way of life, specifically the students' way of thinking, which look almost the same, at least in my point of view. In the first part of these thesis, I tackled the cultural differences and the challenges of teaching English as a foreign language in those countries. And I found out that there are cultural differences, issues, and challenges in those countries, which I separated into two different obstacles. The first one is language barriers, and which make a problem between the students and teachers sometimes. And the second one is teaching large classes with cultural diversity students, or like too many students that belong to different cultures and different ethnicity. uh, the first part of the I talk also about the impact of cultural differences in the classroom. And so the impact of cultural differences might have two sides. According to my thesis uh, paper, the first one is positive side and negative side. The positive side is like the students know about different culture when he is inside, or with students who belong to different cultures. The second one is interact in a wider range of social group. And the third one is students feel more confident. The negative side is like create understanding between teachers and students, and that's happened to me many times actually when I want to explain for something to my students and try to use my body language. And they can't understand me because of the different cultures and different body languages used in different cultures. The second negative effect is like less effective communication, because most of the students cannot speak English confidently, and also the teacher cannot speak the local language, and that can make like less effective communication between the teacher and students. So in the part two, I moved to investigate the impact of the socio-cultural challenges in education using AI. And I tried to make like a questionnaire, right? An online questionnaire was used to collect data on the use of generate AI in teaching process. As you know, AI become like a very vital and important, tool to, in teaching process, of course. So this online questionnaire included both closed-ended and open-ended questions about the use of AI technologies in in their schools. So the participants were recruited by an email invitation. So I sent them like an email, right? And certain questions, like pre-questions. And based on their availability to participate, an informed consent form was given to participants before they completed the questionnaires. So the questionnaires data was analyzed using descriptive analysis. So I try to make like a descriptive analysis depending on their feedback, of course. And also I make a face-to-face interview was taken with 10 randomly selected students in my school to see if they have the same point of view concerning the impact of sociocultural challenges in education using AI. And some of you may ask me, for example, why do you integrate AI in the cultural, issues in teaching English as a foreign language? I would say that AI, like I said before, is becoming a very important tool, and it can impact positively or negatively the cultural differences issues in classroom. So the observations was used mainly with 5 English local teachers who teach in Pamaker English Center. So I was teaching in Pamaker English Center in Vietnam, right? And 5 other participants volunteered to participate in this study, were expatriate instructors in China. So the purposes of this online questionnaire was like evaluating the English teaching traditional techniques and strategies in teaching English in classroom, The second one is to make a comparison between the traditional teaching method and the current use of AI in classroom. The third one is understanding the impacts of using AI in cultural differences. So like a general analysis of this questionnaire, I get, different feedback from, from the teachers. And however, incorporating AI into Vietnamese classroom poses particular difficulties that affect cultural engagement. Ensuring cultural sensitivity in AI algorithms is a major challenge. Now, in the first part of my paper, I've made like an interview on the common issues for foreigner teachers in China. So now I moved to China and then I've made like an interview with some, expatriate teachers in China. So I used to ask the participants three different questions as follows. So the first one was, what are the challenges you face in teaching English in China? The second one uh, is body language useful to transmit your message to the students? And the third one was, how can you make sure your classroom is culturally responsive? So this was like three different ideas and three different questions used to direct it or address it to a Chinese or teachers who taught or teach in China. So like before, five participants allowed to participate in this in this interview. These five participants presented a wide range of educational qualifications, teaching experiences, and career stages, offering diverse perspective on teaching process. The primary aim was not to generalize findings, but to construct a theory based on the information gathered from the participants. So the finding of this discussion or this interview conducted that was conducted with the expatriate teachers in China revealed a variety of cultural challenges that significantly impact their teaching experiences and social integration in host countries. So, and below the K finding categorized it into thematic areas. So the finding was, the finding for this discussion was like five different thematic areas. The first one is the language barrier. The second, cultural norms and values, which are different from one culture to another and different from the students and teacher as well. Classroom management, social integration, and also the understanding of the educational system of the local countries. I'm talking about China and Vietnam here. And personally speaking, I cannot change my teaching style to accommodate local culture because it's a part of my identity. I consider myself not only a teacher of a certain language, rather than someone who add different cultural values to my students. In the other hand, students may teach us many things as well. So we are teachers and at the same time learners, learning a new different cultures from our students. In conclusion, it is clear that each country has its own culture, which influences the learning and teaching process. Therefore, in order to function well in another culture, educators should seek to understand how different the host culture is. Because the more they know about the cultural differences, the better they are in teaching and the more effective communication between teachers and students becomes. So one of the more important things that a teacher should do is to try to understand, to read, and to engage with the host culture, to know deeply how they think, and to facilitate the way he deal with the students and with the the new culture. So, according to my humble experience in teaching English in Vietnam and China, I suggest some recommendations as follow. So the first one is like accepting these distinctions, like these cultural distinctions with respect and an open mind. Spend time studying local customs, traditions, and social standard. Participate in cultural activities. Ask the colleagues, neighbors, or friends for advice if you are unsure about paper or proper behavior. In classroom, you need to create a classroom rules, of course. Create a healthy learning atmosphere with mutual respect and discipline. Flexibility and careful observation are crucial for overcoming this difficulty. Integrate local culture into teaching to make them exciting and interesting. Try various tactics until you find what works best in your new teaching environment. Finally, remember that you are not only a teacher, you are also a learner. Therefore, don't expect to understand everything right away. With time, you will adapt to the new environment and find ways to integrate the best cultural elements into your own style. Thank you so much for your listening.
Thank you, Mr. Ben, for your interesting presentation. And I think that you take quite a lot of time to make a research, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I do have a question today for you. Um, I heard that in China, they do have some AI model by themselves. So is there any difficulties when you using that kind of model to teach in your classroom? Thank you.
Is this a question directed to me, right?
Yes, yes. Can you?
Of course, of course. There are too many difficulties, of course, when using AI. The first difficulty, like I said, is like the students cannot understand deeply what the teacher is saying, right? And the second thing, using AI for the students is not something that's easy for them because sometimes they cannot understand what the contents of it. So the role of the teacher in this case is trying to facilitate the content of what the AI. And here, when we are talking about the AI, we are talking about using the like uh, like the screen. Screen is a kind of AI, of course. So we can talk about the screen videos, a presentation, right? So using TV is a kind of using AI, of course. In the same time, AI can facilitate, many things to the students. And like I say, the role of the teacher in here is trying to transmit the message from what is written on or what is broadcasted in TV to the students, right? I hope that could answer your question. Thank you.
Sorry, because I just want to ask clearly about the difference between the AI model in China is sometimes it's written in Chinese. Is it a difficulty for you to access to that kind of application and website?
Yeah, yes, actually, it's a big problem in here. And maybe I hope Muhammad Gara is going to talk about that later because he's in China and he's like a university a teacher in China and the difficulties that a teacher can face and confront in China concerning these points. So in my experience, so like it's like 1 month now in China, I really find many difficulties in turning on the TV at the university because everything is in Chinese language. I cannot understand, right? So I used to ask my students to help me to translate every time. This is really words for me, right? Yeah.
That's very interesting information for me, right? So the second one, I would love to ask Mr. Wang Xiang from China. Can you give some comment to the presentation of Mr. Ben, please? We still cannot hear you. I think your mic is still turned off, right? Mr.
Okay.
Wang. Okay, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you use the, I would first I'd like to answer the first question. If you have got a VPN, you can get access to ChatGPT and
You can
any.
please raise your voice, Professor John Wang, because we can't hear you clearly.
Okay, I used my phone. Okay, I have a question to Ben yourself. How do you plan to address the cultural difference identified in your research to create a more effective E4 environment in China and Vietnam, especially with the AI model? Could you share some specific examples from your finding that you address the cultural difference and different teaching environment?
Okay, so the question is like was okay, it's like providing specific examples, right? About the findings and explaining the right? Can you please come again, please? Can you ask the question again?
I mean, what cultural difference do you identify in Vietnam and China? And how do you cope with the cultural difference in your teaching content in the classroom? For example, in China, we use the characters, and the tongue is quite a difference. There are 4 tongues in Mandarin and 8 tongues in some southern dialect. I think you also will find a similar tongues in Vietnam, quite similar for the southern dialect in China. That's quite different from the tongue of English language, right? And also
Yeah, so
cultural phenomena.
yeah. Okay, thank you so much for your question. So your question was about, are there any cultural differences between, China and Vietnam? Of course, like I said before in my thesis paper, I've talked about clearly about the differences between, China. I said that there are like too many similarities between China and Vietnam, at least in my point of view, because as far as I know, the culture, the cultural thematic of China is a little bit similar. Even, Tit holiday, there is like what we call the Tit holiday by the end of the year in China, and there is like a Tit holiday in Vietnam as well. So there are some similarities about, the people. Even the people, looks like a little bit similar. Not 100%, of course, but as far as I know, and depending on my own experience, I see that there are too many similarities between China and Vietnam. So according to the second question about how do I deal with these cultural differences in my teaching methods. So I am trying mostly to use my body language is really, really a vital way to explain and to express your ideas. I know that some students, and especially, for example, at the university now, cannot understand me 100%. But I am trying to use examples, body language, and also trying to use the AI to facilitate the, and to give them example using AI, using, for example, videos and some presentation. And also, I am trying to use what we call the, audio visual learning style, audio visual or visual learning style, like showing them pictures, right? And those pictures, like show a certain, movement, for example, and in this way the students can understand me clearly, right? So I know that every teacher has its own style of teaching, right? And I have a different style of teaching, but I usually use my body language to transmit the message to my students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wang and Mr. Ben, for your question and answer. So now I would love to invite Mr. Mohammed Grar for your comment and question, please.
Could you please, hello everyone, could you please confirm that you can hear me clear and loud?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for the confirmation. I would like to start from like the integration of EI or the integration of ICT in the Chinese classrooms, as Mr. Bin Nawar's address. For example, I have the same problem in my classrooms. You just need to understand that part, because it's really like difficult to adapt to the Chinese language and to understand how it works. I'm talking about ICT, information and communications technology. Sometimes we find that it's like a waste of time in our classrooms, because we find it so difficult to, for example, to switch it on, to transfer the document to the computer or something like that. So this is just a the first. Oh, I'm so sorry for the video is not working. Okay, this is just like a comment on the part of EI, which Mr. Bin Nawar's integrated into his thesis. So here I'm just going to give a summary about his thesis. So Mr. Bin Nawar's thesis addresses a significant and often overlooked aspect of English as a foreign language, like how cultural differences impact teaching effectiveness and students' learning experiences. Mr. Bin Nawar's your examination of cultural challenges of for foreign instructors, especially in complex environment like China and Vietnam, resonates strongly with my experience as an English teacher here in China. As you said before, you mentioned the body language. So sometimes you try to to explain or to demonstrate the aspect or the concept to students using your body language, but sometimes you found out that your body language is totally different than, for example, you want to especially numbers. For example, in Morocco or in Europe, we can, like, if we are going to count numbers, we say 1 2 3 4 like this, but in China they have something different. So when you are using your body language, you will find it a bit difficult, or it's a bit difficult for students to understand. But as you said before, it's all about adaptability. Once you are adapt to this culture or the Chinese culture, you are going to understand, and then you are going to know the way students are thinking, and you are going to know, or you are going to be aware of what they are like, or how you are going to teach them. So it's just like a matter of time. You just need some time to adapt to this culture, as like the same as me, because we can, like, we are sharing the same problems and the same struggles. Yep. This thesis, if your thesis, I mean, Mr. Bin Nawar's, effectively highlights that cultural differences can create obstacles, especially in large classes, right? And particularly in managing classroom dynamics, lesson planning, and encouraging students' participation by using like a combination of questionnaire, interviews, and you offers like a comprehensive overview of the common challenges and the varied ways that culture can affect both teaching and learning in an NFL setting. So your approach not only addresses classroom and curriculum design, but also considers the nuanced like interactions between student home cultures and their school environments, which can hinder or enhance their language acquisition journey. In my classes, I'm always like focusing on this one, on the part of acquisition, because I think, and as you all know, acquisition is more important than learning. And in the Chinese culture, or I can say the Chinese students, they are focusing more on, because they have that impact of how they learned the Chinese language, and they have that impact or that problem of they are paying more attention to learning, like without paying attention to acquisition. I mean, they are paying attention to pronunciation and grammar. and that's what like make them stop, or they give up speaking, or if even they want to speak, you can find someone who is confident in your classroom, he wants to speak, but he can't speak loudly because he is afraid, or he have the scare of making a mistake, like grammatical mistake or a mistake in pronunciation. So in my classes, like whenever I start a class or before the first classes with my students, the first semester, I demonstrate to them or I explain that we are going to focus more on acquisition. So don't think about grammar and don't think about pronunciation. I just need you to speak. And I try to encourage them. But this one takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time actually, because it takes maybe about 3 weeks or 2 weeks till then students will be adapt to to what you are saying and to your teaching methodology. I'm just talking here about my teaching experience in China. And in my own practice, I
Wait,
observe.
because we have a time limit, so do you have any
Oh,
questions,
thank you.
comment on Mr. Ben's dissertation?
Okay, like it's just a comment. So how can we improve, or how can we work on that AI? This is my question for you, Mr. Benoit. How can we work on that AI aspect, or how can we work? What should we do as English instructors on that aspect, or on that problem?
Well, thank you so much for your intervention.
Yeah.
So we cannot, of course, we cannot improve AI. We need to improve ourselves, according to the developments of the AI now, right?
Mhm.
So because AI now it's like rising, very big problems on the world, right? And maybe so it's like an issue now. Some people or some scientists or scientists are talking about the replacement of the teacher by the AI, maybe in the future. This would be a big problem. So the question here we can ask is how to improve ourselves, and go in parallel with the improvements of the EI, because now the EI may know better than us, and it's filled with a lot of information and a lot of skills. Some EI machines can really talk better than a native speaker, right? Because like I said, he is filled with a lot of information and have the ability to speak different kind of languages and different and have a lot of skills, right? So my answer to your question is how to improve ourselves with the AI. I think the first thing we need to do is to to open, for example, to open our eyes and know more about this new revolution, right? So to know about the AI and the work of AI and know how to deal with the AI new revolutions. I hope that would answer your question. Thank you so much.
I got you. It's a good answer. I got you. I got you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mohammed Graf, for your experience of teaching in China and your question too. Thank you. And now we have two attendees, which is Mrs. Mia and Mr. Tien. So now we have open discussion if you want to have any question. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Please, could you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much for giving me the chance to talk about my experience in Vietnam as an English teacher. So first of all, I want to say congratulations to the researcher of reaching the PhD's defense stage. Thank you for having me here to share my opportunity and my experience in teaching English, as I said. So my experience in Vietnam during the last 2 years was really challenging. At first, I thought that moving to another country is gonna be hard for me, especially when you are heading to the half of the world, which looks totally different in terms of culture, lifestyle, and the way of thinking, without talking about the language. That was so challenging for me to learn the basic words. And however, I believe that it was lucky during the time and staying in Vietnam because I accidentally meet good people who were helping me to integrate smoothly in the Vietnamese society. I can say that my career as an English teacher started there. The people were so helpful and super friendly. The students also were active, welcoming, and cooperative with me as much as I want. And to be honest, I built my first break in the ladder of education there. I elevate my social skills in teaching, and especially the culture issues was part of the challenges I've had. But that was like a pushing hand to improve my skills. And so, Teacher Ben, concerning the research paper, I've got a notice. Please, why you put China, Vietnam in the keywords of your research? Normally, as I know, the countries cannot be part of the keywords in academic research. Could you please explain for us why?
Yeah, thank you, Mia, for for your intervention. Yeah, of course. Actually, the scientific research cannot have like countries in the key word. Yes, I agree with you, but you know, Vietnam and China in my research paper is like a case study, right? So I repeat this word many times in my research paper, and that's why I choose to, to put them in the keywords. But like I said before, it is not accepted in the scientific research. I have make a small research at the internet, and I found out that some some of the researchers write the countries in their keywords, but is are not too much, too many, right? Are a few researchers in the world. So I don't know if it is accepted or not to to write Vietnam and China as a countries in the keyword, but in a way it's already done. I hope
Maybe
that
we
will,
need maybe we need to ask the supervisor about that. Or
yeah.
Miss Angela, could you please explain for us, is that allowed to write like the countries in a research paper or not?
Keyword, right?
Yeah, in the keywords.
Research paper keyword, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I would love to invite the Professor Ismo Ahmed. Can you answer this question?
Yes, I'm Ismail Ahmad, Rector of Passion International University. So I'd like to ask about Mr. Zain Adams from South Africa. He didn't attend. I think he is absent.
Yeah, he apologized. He really, he apologized
Uh-huh.
for not attending these events because he have like classes. That's what he said actually.
Yes, yes, yes. So my question, I've been Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh before about 5 years ago. So I've spent amazing times in Ho Chi Minh, but I didn't visit another city. So my brother, our great researcher, Mr. Yusuf.
Thank you,
So
sir.
have you been Ho Chi Minh, or just you was working in just one city in Vietnam?
Well, actually, during my experience in Vietnam, I've worked in too many cities actually, right? One in the north
Mhm.
called Lao Cai, maybe Angela know the name, and in Nam Dan in Vin City, and also in Quang Binh. I've been to Ho Chi Minh, but it's not like a tourist actually. It was like just go and come back, in one
Uh-huh.
day, right? It was like a business trip. So that's why
So
I could, yeah.
there are some differences between Ho Chi Minh and other cities in Vietnam. Like in Egypt,
Yeah,
Abar city and the capital, and.
exactly. Yeah, okay, so you are raising a very interesting point, actually. The differences between, different places in one country. And here also we can talk about the different the cultural differences in one countries. And this issue exists in every land in the world. Even in my country, there are four different slangs. Slangs is like languages or something like that. So
Yeah, yeah.
that can be exist even in in China in Vietnam as well. So the diversity or the cultural diversity in different parts of Vietnam, of course, is like a reality. It is a reality in Vietnam. So there is a big difference between the North and South, and maybe Angela Vu know about these kind of differences, right? I don't know everything about the differences is in Vietnam, but I could feel that there are too many differences in terms of language, in terms of the culture and the way of life. This is quite normal everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Mrs. Angela from Ho Chi Minh or from South or North or
No, I'm
East,
from
West?
Hanoi, but now I'm in Italy. Yeah. Okay. So we do. Yes. So I thank you for your question, and now we still have some more minutes for the attendees. I see that we have Mr. Tien and Mr. Taha Hamdi. So do you have any question to Mr. Ben? Mr. Tien, do you want to have any question? Or Mr.
Okay.
Yes.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm on the way, so I have a short question for Ben. Firstly, I would like to congratulate him for his final step in PhD study, and that's very great step in like professional development. And my question is, Ben, can you, according to your observation, can you give some comments or comparisons between teaching and studying in Vietnam and China? Because that's also quite an interesting topic. Because Vietnam and China have many differences and many similarities and some differences. And you are the observer, and I think you have a very neutral observation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Yes, really, it's a very interesting question, actually. Look, now I've been in China is all about 1 and 10 days, I think now. So I'm not getting in deeply into the Chinese culture, right? I am trying to understand the Chinese culture. It's really amazing. I say Chinese culture and Vietnamese. I see some similarities actually between China and Vietnam because I am into teaching and I meet the students, every day. I talk to them. There is one thing which is really similar between China and Vietnam, which is shameness and the afraid of for from or from speaking. Most of the students, either in Vietnam or China, they are afraid to speak, another languages, right? And this is my job really here. I'm trying my best to push them and to encourage them to speak. This is one of the similarities, right? I'm talking here about only the students, not the general culture of Vietnam and China, because it's really hard to know the whole culture of a country, right? Of course, there are some differences between China and Vietnam, similarities, but depending on my personal observation, so I cannot actually understand, like I say, deeply the whole culture. But what I understand that there are some similarities between the students in Vietnam and China, right? They are really respectful. Most of them, like 99% respectful. They respect the teacher and they really want to learn new things. Of course, there are too many obstacles that we can face as a foreign teachers, but we are trying to be more flexible with new atmosphere, new cultures, with new people. I hope that could answer this question. Thank you so much, TM, for your question.
Yeah, thank you,
Okay,
Ben.
thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, so the last one I see that Mr. Taha, right? You want to have a question to Mr. Ben, right? Mr. Taha Hamdi. I think that he's off already. Maybe he cannot hear. So anybody have other questions for Mr. Ben and comments? No more, right? Okay, so I think that today I really see that this topic is really interesting one because as myself, I actually teach in many different countries too, and then I see that there's a lot of difficulties you have to face when you teaching a language to them, and other things is I think it's very interesting about the point of using AI in teaching to teach languages, and that's one of the things that because now I invest a lot in AI model to teach, and I see that one of the things that I always concern is about China using a different AI model, compared to the other parts of the world. So sometimes it's difficult for the teachers to adapt with both of the models in AI to teach. So myself, I would love to congratulate Mr. Ben for your dissertation. I see that you really hardworking in everything you do and dedicate to everything you do. So yes, today I'm very happy and really proud of yourself too.
Thank you so
For
much. Thank you.
your long journey. Okay, so do you want to have some words to everybody?
Yeah, of course. I just would like to express my sincere gratitude to, to all of you, to all these individuals who attend these thesis and supports me in completing this project. I would like to thank Dr. Ismail Ahmed, Director of Passion International University, USA, for his patience and his in providing help for me. Mr. Jong Wan, thank you so much for attending. I'm really happy to have you like a friend. I've met you in Fez City, my hometown, and I'm really proud of you. I'm happy to meet you, and I hope to meet you, of course, here in China one day. Mr. Mohammed Gara, thank you so much for attending my thesis. And Angela Vu, I would like to thank you also for your efforts, right? And acknowledgement goes also to the teachers in China and Vietnam who participate in these questionnaires. And I could not forget, Mr. Taha, Mr. Tian, thank you so much for attending. And for Majda, she's my wife. Thank you so much for supporting me all the time to be a doctor. So I'm really happy to be
Actually,
here again. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, Ben. I would like to say thank you because without you, I would not be in Vietnam.
Okay.
Was a really wonderful experience with you in Vietnam as well. So thank you to encourage me too, and to having a very good experience together. And good luck, really good luck. I'm
Thank
very
you so
proud of
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, so I think that is really touching moment for myself.
Yeah, yeah.
This journey go to the the ending point today, and I would love to thank you for all of the attendees and yeah, Mr. Professor Dr. Ahmed, do you have anything to say? Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. So I would like to thank all of attendees in this discussion. First of all, Mr. Sean Lawrence from the United States of America, he apologized to attend with us, and his supervisor. And now the supervisor is Mr. Mohammed Gara from Morocco. And I'd like to thank you, Mrs. Angela Vu from Vietnam, and hope you visit us in Bosnia. We are in Eastern Europe. You are in Western, and
Yeah.
Italy not far.
Yes, yes,
You know, by
yes.
the way, Italy is not far. It's just about 30 minutes or 1 hour. You can come by the sea or by the air.
Okay, yes,
You're
yes.
welcome.
Yes.
And we, inshallah, God willing, we will visit Vietnam again, and we will visit China maybe coming months or December. And we hope to meet Mr. Professor Wang in China, combining with Dr. Yusuf. And thanks to Mr. Zain Adams from South Africa. We hope he spent good time because he is absent today. Thanks for everyone. And about the decision, we are waiting the decision from you, Mrs. Angela. Please send us the decision for the evaluation of this thesis. Excellent or good or very good, okay? And
Yes.
the percentage.
Yeah. So from my point of view, I think that he's did a good job because I not only see him doing the dissertation, I even see how hardworking he is in teaching and very enthusiastic with all of the students in Vietnam before. So I would love to wish him, a good luck for the future too. In everything you do, we always support you. Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Angela.
Yes.
Yeah.
And congratulations for
thank you.
your new baby as well. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now he's
Congratulations.
Vietnamese. He was born in Vietnam, right?
Yes. But
She's Vietnamese, right? Okay.
okay.
Yes, yes.
So I think that
Congratulations, Mr. Ben.
Thank you
Dr.
so
Ben.
much. Thank you so
Okay.
much. That's because of you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much. Thank you
congratulations
so
again.
much. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I think that is the end of our program today, and thank you for everybody to attend, and wish you good luck, Ben, and your wife too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye bye.
Yeah. Have a good time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
So
Have a
goodbye
good
for
time.
all, and see you again. And about Bachelor University, don't forget our website usa.edu.ba. And we forgot to welcome our new members, Mrs. Angela Wu. She is now one of our member in teaching staff, and as well Mr. Dr. Muhammad Gira from Morocco, and Professor Dr. Wang Qiang from China, and Mr. Zain Adams, and Mr. Sean Lawrence. Thank you all, and see you again, and live your passion and enjoy. Goodbye.
Have a
Okay.
good time.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a good time. Thank you, guys.
Have a
Bye-bye.
nice day.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Congratulations, Ben.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really happy to see you here. Thank you so much.
See you.
Yeah, see you. Bye-bye.